right now reacting to this today from B-Mitch and Finley.
And that's the reason you bring him into camp, because what
bad hosting job him is Martavis Bryant, the star receiver in the mid 2010s who hasn't played in the NFL since 2018, but has constantly been on practice squads, had a suspension in there, but was once a top receiver in the league and was brought in by Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, Adam Peters and company to compete here in Washington.
And that's the reason you bring him into camp, because what if it hits? Nobody on the roster can sit up here and complain, because if you were hitting how you're supposed to, they probably wouldn't bring him in. So, hey, man, JP and I talk about a lot of different things. I want people to just understand. And there are times when we start talking about professional football players as if they're kids. And the fact that I played, I don't feel sorry for nobody, because you have that opportunity to go out there and do your thing. Now, if I see somebody doing it and killing it, but they just don't like you, I'll say something about it. But if I know you have exceptional talent and you're not producing it on a regular basis, whatever happens at that point. That's the way I feel about it. And I watch people walk around like they're owed something. No. In this profession, you take everything that you want. You have to go out there and kick down the door to get it. And I'm watching dudes pouting and walking around sulking. What the hell is that? This is not Little League. This is the big leagues. And if you can't understand competition is going to be present and forget about it and move on and just go full speed every day, every play, every opportunity, then that's on you, because people get cut based off of body language. Okay? People get cut based off of body language. If I got two guys fighting for a job, one guy goes full speed every day, one guy's running the extra yard or extra 2 yards, the other guy walks around stomping his feet like a little petulant-ass child, like you said yesterday, okay, and you don't do the things you're supposed to do, I'm probably going to take the guy with the more energy. It happens.
Strong words. Stunningly from Brian Mitchell. I don't know specifically who B-Mitch is talking about there. My guess, based off the context, would be Jahan Dotson. That, so you're owed something. Well, the only guy that feels like he could be owed anything is a former first-round pick would be Jahan. And I think Jahan's had a very up-and-down camp. He's had some really nice days, a couple, including today. He made a couple of big catches. He's also had some days that aren't so great. And I do think that there is a mismatch in Jahan's skill set and what they look for in a football player. And part of that is his skill set is he's a smaller guy. He's got great twitchiness and all that kind of stuff. But one thing that I've talked about, and I was talking with another reporter on the sideline about this, and he was like, man, I remember when you said this, and I started to really notice it, and it's stunning once you're like aware of it, is the Adam Peters players are just bigger. And whether like not necessarily taller at the wide receiver position, but like Olamide Zaccheaus is like, he's got a little heft to him. He's got a little bulk to him. The other guys they brought in, like Byron Pringle's like got a toughness to him. A guy they brought back, but they decided to bring him back. Obviously Luke McCaffrey like is a bigger dude. He's like 6'2". And he, outside of Bryson Tremaine, who by the way we talked to today after practice, and you'll hear that interview coming up at 5:45. Outside of Tremaine, until they bring in Martavis Bryant, like he's the other guy that's got a little bit of size in that receiver room. But for Jahan, he's just a slighter dude. And I do think that whether he's talking about Brian, is talking about Jahan or not, at this point in the rebuild, attitude is everything. And this is kind of why I said the other day that if there isn't the buy-in that we want to see from Emmanuel Forbes or Jahan Dotson or Jamin Davis or any of these guys that are former first-rounders under Rivera that haven't had smooth sailing in the new administration, the separator of those three right now is Jamin, because the way they talk about his work ethic and the doggedness with which he's approaching everything makes me think that that dude is here, at least for the year. And they'll see how the experiment goes and if they have a place for him from a football standpoint. But the way he's showing up to work every day, the way he's approaching things, the way he's approaching the media. Jamin used to be a guy that didn't really love to talk, and I don't think Jamin really likes to talk now, especially considering it's a hard time for him. But I have seen Jamin Davis answer questions damn near every day that I've been at training camp. And there are other guys that are like, sorry, I got to go lift. And I don't know that their lift schedule is actually tight enough that they need to go lift and can't spare 4 or 5 minutes to answer questions from whether it's a group of reporters or to do an interview or whatever it is. And there are guys that are doing that at this point in camp. And I get it. Like, they've answered a lot of questions, and frankly, a lot of it's probably Groundhog Day. We're not always the most original bunch. There's only so much you can ask guys this time of year. I get it. But Jamin, I've not seen him do that. That doesn't mean he hasn't. I haven't been there every single day. Obviously, I was gone for a week. But, like, Jamin's general approach to everything is say yes and say yes with enthusiasm. And it sounds like what B-Mitch is hearing and what B-Mitch is seeing is there's some other folks that are not doing that. And specifically in a receiver room where they have now brought in multiple guys. Because Martavius Bryant's one thing. Intriguing talent. DQ knows him because he was on the Dallas practice squad last year. He fits a profile that only Tremaine fits in terms of 6'3" bigger. And I think Bryson's had a tremendous camp, but maybe they don't think that he's got enough talent, whatever. I don't know. I think Tremaine belongs on the team right now. He continues to get open and make catches, and they've got him in important spots on special teams, and he's got versatility on special teams. There's a lot of stuff to like about Bryson Tremaine of why I'm very comfortable with him making the team and having some kind of role. But obviously the upside is higher for a guy like Bryant, and so you bring him in. Or maybe you want multiples of the bigger receivers in a Cliff Kingsbury offense that's going to be looking to go vertical down the field. And whether it's Byron Pringle, who they brought in, like clearly they weren't getting what they wanted out of some of those other guys. Otherwise, you don't do it. You don't bring in people if you're 1,000% happy with the group just for funsies. You let the group battle it out as is. And so I don't know what this ultimately means for this receiver room. I know Terry's making the team, and I know he's going to be the number one. I'm pretty sure that three other guys are making the team, Jahan Diami and Luke McCaffrey, but I don't know what the roles are going to be. Because Luke had a pretty slow start, but he had made some plays in the game, and he made a couple of other plays today, and he's starting to come on a little bit. And so let's see what he does in Miami, and let's see what he does in the second game. And can Luke McCaffrey emerge as a 2 or a 3, or at the very least locking down that fourth option ahead of whoever else may be in consideration? And so, yeah, this is going to get really interesting because I don't think there's a lot of separation between a Jamison Crowder, a Mitchell Tinsley, a Davion Davis, down through Olamide Zaccheaus and Luke McCaffrey and Jahan Dotson even at this point in that mix. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. There's still a long way to go, 2 preseason games. Clearly they're not afraid to give Dotson snaps in those games to see what he has. But it's also the kind of thing where, again, I'll say this, is Jahan Dotson worth more in a trade to the Commanders and worth more than the draft capital to another team that it's actually a both sides win kind of trade? Not that I like Jahan as a dude. I've interviewed him a couple times. I enjoy him. I think he's thoughtful. I do think he works hard, but I do wonder if he fits here. And if, you're giving a guy 30 snaps in a preseason game, clearly you're just fine with other teams seeing him. And so what are they trying to see here? What are they trying to showcase to the rest of the league? I don't know. And maybe nothing happens and he just winds up working out here and he's here for the next couple of years and he's a productive player. That'd be cool. That'd be the best possible outcome. But B-Mitch saying that does make me raise my eyebrows a little bit. Brian's been around a long time. He doesn't say stuff for the sake of saying stuff. He says what he sees, and what he sees is not ideal. And I'm curious if Dotson's the guy that he's talking about there, because I don't really know who else would fit the mold of someone who feels like they deserve something based off of their standing with this team previously, because Diami certainly hasn't done that, and everybody else here is pretty much new.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.